Thank you all very much. And I'm going to say this also. Yes, when I came to Shuffle and we said, hey, can we do this event here? I said, we're a partisan organization. And their response to me was, that's cool because we're damn partisan too. So first I want to say thank you to Sherry Wood and the North Tampa Dems for co-hosting the event tonight. As soon as she said yes, the next thing I noticed she was doing was she was organizing her volunteers. So you are a true example of what's necessary to organize this county. So thank you for everything that you've done. And to all of you, good evening. It's good to be with you here tonight. I'm Venessa Lester, and I have the honor and the pleasure of serving as the chair of the Hillsborough County Democratic Executive Committee. But more importantly to me, I'm a believer in the power of us. We're at a crossroads here in Florida. Far too long we've been playing defense. When I ran for this position, I stated that I was going to do things differently. In my opinion, the Hillsborough County Democratic Party has an opportunity to be more public-facing, and that we're chartering new paths. You see, we aren't just a political organization, we are the foundation of democracy in Hillsborough County. From the streets of Tampa to the neighborhoods of Lutz and Brandon, we are the ones who turn values into actions. We know that voting is the right, but in this current climate, voting is our most powerful form of resistance and our most direct path to progress. And just by chance, if there's anybody that's not registered to vote or need to update their voter registration or re-enroll and vote by mail, we have that information here tonight. Just come see me and I'll direct you to the appropriate person.
QR code has vote by mail renewal and info about our
So
organization.
you all can't hear her. She said, when you all came in, they gave everybody a card. See, that's called organizing, right? You have a way to re-enroll and vote by mail. You have a way to register to vote. And if you want to do it here in person, Lois with the orange hair can do it for you as well. So what I want to say to you is that every time someone stays home and they don't cast their ballot, a voice is silenced on affordability, on education, and on justice. Registering new voters, however, is not enough. We have to find ways to be in the community 365 days a year, not just 100 days before election. That's a part of the reason for this town hall tonight. We have countywide races where there's only one Dem in each of those races. And I'd like to let you know who some of those candidates are tonight. And I want to start by introducing Karen Perez, who's running for School Board District 6, which is a countywide school board seat. So without further ado, Karen.
Well, good evening, everyone. All right. So I like to begin by acknowledging our elected officials. Any elected officials in the room or in the outside here?
Soon to be elected.
Soon, there you go. And our fellow candidates. Where's the fellow? Raise your hand. Awesome. Thank you all for your service and commitment to our community. So my name is Karen Perez, and I am honored to serve on Hillsborough County School Board. And I've been serving for the last 8 years, and it's been amazing. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a mom of 3 and a grandma of 10. Yes. Thank you. I figure they get older, I stay young. And someone who has dedicated my life for over 30 years in supporting children and families in our community. And tonight, I humbly ask you for your support as I run for re-election. Together we've made incredible, absolutely incredible progress here in Hillsborough. Today, our district is celebrating the highest graduation rate in its history. It's 93% graduation rate. And that success is because we have some incredible, absolutely incredible teachers and staff in our schools. Do we have any teachers here tonight? None? We have some? Awesome. Thank you for what you do for our students every day. They are the heart of our classrooms. We must continue. Let me say this one more time. We must continue to support them. And that means continue to advocate for competitive teacher salaries. Because when we invest in our educators, we invest in our students. And we also have worked hard to strengthen our district budget. When I first was elected in 2018, our budget was $175 million in the red. And today, we have moved from financial challenges to stability. And that allows us to focus on what matters the most. And what matters the most here in Hillsborough County is our students' success. And I remain committed to the core education, ensuring every child has a strong foundation in reading, math, and in critical thinking. Now, we know that success begins early, and early childhood and VPK are critical, and those programs are preparing our youngest learners. So we've put to start next year for VPK to be all day long.
Good.
So I firmly believe that public schools are the best. They're the best place to educate our children. Our public schools serve every child, and they support every family and provide opportunities that change lives. I also firmly believe that the superintendent of schools should be a position hired by the school board rather than an elected, because it ensures that the role prioritizes educational expertise and the best interests of our students over political influences. So this approach fosters a long-term educational goals and accountability, when it comes to educational standards. So as a licensed clinical social worker, I will always prioritize mental health because our students are facing real challenges today. And we must ensure that they have access to the support and the resources that they need to thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. And this work, it's real personal to me, because when we support our students, we strengthen our entire community. So I respectfully ask you for your vote so we can continue this important work together. And now it's my amazing pleasure to introduce someone who is equally committed to serving our community and making a meaningful difference. Please join me in welcoming Aileen Rodriguez, candidate for County Commission.
Hello, good evening. How are you? I'm Aileen Rodriguez. I am a candidate for Hillsborough County Commission, District 7, countywide. I want to make sure that we recognize Kimberly Overman, a former elected official. You came in, we want to make sure we recognize you. Thank you for being here. And she's also running for office. But, okay, so let me tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit about what my priorities are, and then we'll pass it on. So, I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. My father was a dairy farmer. I grew up on his dairy farm in Plant City. So I'm truly a local. I was born and raised here. My mother is a retired educator. So I grew up in a hardworking family, middle class teacher, dairy farmer. I'm your neighbor. I'm just like you. Okay, and I feel like politics and running for office, it should be about serving the people and not about arguing partisan politics. It's about the people, right? Yeah. And so for me, I'm not a politician. I've worked most of my career in the community realm, working at Moffitt. I worked in education at Helios Education. I've worked at the airport. There was one role that I had, though, that does directly impact what I'll be doing when I'm your commissioner. And I was the regional director for United States Senator Mel Martinez. And that was back in 2007 for a few years. That was not a political position. That role was constituent services. My job was to go around 8 counties, Citrus County down to Manatee County. We were based here in Hillsborough, and meet with constituents and elected officials and just find out what did our community need and make sure that our senator knew that in Washington to represent this region. So, that truly is really my role was nonpartisan. And as I've moved forward in my world, I am now a very proud Democrat, and I realized, even though there's a lot of conservative fiscal conversation, don't our community members need help? Shouldn't our government be helping the people in our community? Yes. And we need to bring that back to our local government. I'm specifically running against a person, the specific seat, District 7, and I plan to bring back common decency and kindness and respect and decorum to that seat. And I will be representing you and listening to you. I will have an open door, so you can count on me. Some of the issues, we have a lot of the same concerns, a lot of sprawl. We have a lot of problems being stuck in traffic, transportation. We don't have mass transit. We need to improve that. Our affordability issues, we need affordable housing. We need access to health care. We need to support our nonprofits. So I will be fighting for you every single day. Excuse me. My website address is voteaileen2026.com, so check that out. And I will be getting out and about in the community, and I look forward to chatting with each of you. Call me anytime. And that's me. Now and I'll be back later. I'm going to be doing the Q&A after our guest of honor speaks. I have the proud privilege to introduce my colleague and my dear friend, Dr. Neil Manimala. Yes. And he's also local, and he is running for District 5 countywide, and I'll let you talk about yourself.
Hillsborough County Democrats, are we fired up or what? My name is Dr. Neil Manimala. I'm a surgeon in the area, a Valrico native, and I am running countywide for the Hillsborough County Commission District 5 at-large seat in the election in November. I'm running in November countywide, and I have to answer to all voters in Hillsborough County. But I'm also a new dad, and I also have to answer to an almost 6-month-old daughter. I have been a physician for more than a decade. And it's in those years that I have sat with people at some of their darkest moments. Truly, at some of the worst days of their lives. I've seen them at their most vulnerable. I have seen so much fear and anxiety, but I've also seen quiet strength and courage. And it's in those years that I've come to understand that despite all the chaos and division and transactionality that seem to define our world today in 2026, there still exist sacred spaces in this world. Spaces where it can be as simple as a brother or sister lending a helping hand to a brother or sister in need. I see spaces like that all the time in medicine. But I'm here to tell you that spaces like that can exist in our politics as well. On government, especially on a local level, this is where one person can look to another person and tell them that I see you, that I hear you, and I'm going to fight tooth and nail for you. I think that all of us in this room know that on every level of government, we're seeing that we have not fulfilled that potential. I say that because, for all the people we have in our county and in Florida as a whole, health and wellness is determined well before you step foot in a doctor's office. It's determined by whether or not you can pay your rent, by how long your commute is, by whether or not your neighborhood has high quality water or it's been plagued by pollution, by the cost of childcare, and by the cost of groceries. For so many people in Hillsborough County, it's not a question of the cost of living. It's a question of the cost of being alive. And I got to tell you, Hillsborough County Dems, that for so many of our brothers and sisters, it is not a question of personal failure. It's a question of failure of policy. And for me, despite my advocacy outside of government, as president of the Hillsborough County Medical Association, serving a number of public health boards in our county, I realize that you're only scratching at the symptoms unless you go straight to the deep cause of all this turmoil and despair that exists in our government. And so I decided to run for local office. Lord knows I didn't go to med school thinking I was going to run for office. But I'm running for the Hillsborough County Commission because I believe that the drive for human dignity has got to be the heartbeat of our politics. It's got to be the driver of all these big decisions we're going to be making in the years ahead. Decisions like expanding transit options here in our region. Making sure that we have access to attainable, affordable, accessible housing for all, from young working families to senior citizens alike. Making sure we push back against overdevelopment and sprawl that are plaguing our county. And ensuring that whether it be safety from fire or safety from flood, every zip code is a safe place to be. And I have to tell you that these decisions are fundamentally made at a local level. It is so important that we flip this county commission by electing Aileen and me. It's so important that we win our countywide races and we re-elect Karen Perez to the school board. We have to win up and down the ballot, and you're going to hear from a person here today who we need to make sure we get elected to the U.S. Senate to represent Florida as well. Solidarity is key. And when I think about the future of Hillsborough County, I think about it in terms of my daughter. 36 years from now, when she's my age, will she be able to love whoever she wants to love, to be whoever she wants to be, and to dream bigger than any of us in our generations ever could? Hillsborough County Dems, is this a future worth fighting for? So I gotta transition now to introducing you to the person you guys are all here to actually see and hear from. Alexander Vindman. Alexander Vindman comes from a similar background to me, from a family of immigrants. He came to this country as a child, a Ukrainian Jewish refugee. His father didn't come here with much other than faith in the American dream. And that faith sure paid off. All of his sons ended up serving in uniform in this great country, including Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. And I got to read off this list of accomplishments because you are quite literally one of the most accomplished people I know. Alexander Vindman rose the ranks over the course of 20 years of service in our military to becoming a lieutenant colonel. He then became the author of the National Military Strategy for Russia. He ascended the ranks to become the Director for European Affairs for on the National Security Council, and he became the attaché in Moscow and Kiev. He's got master's degree from Harvard, a master's and doctorate from Johns Hopkins University. He's a 2-time New York Times best-selling author. And he served heroically in Fallujah in Iraq, where they got hit by a roadside bomb, and he was awarded with a Purple Heart for his service. We all remember, and I'm sure all recall that story from 2019, when he was patched into the Situation Room, when President Trump in that first term was on a phone call with the President of Ukraine. And Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman heard something that just wasn't right. A quid pro quo. He reported it. He testified to Congress. He put duty to country over duty to himself and to his own safety and even reputation. And we all know that story. President Trump was impeached, acquitted by the Senate Republicans. He ranted and raved on Twitter, lied about the people testifying against him being evil and corrupt, and his administration promised retribution. Alexander Vindman truly knew his days at NSC were numbered. What did he do? He put his head down and still finished his work. He managed to complete his action plan with Ukraine. He managed to talk to his successor, made sure they were looped in, closed all loops of communication. He put his head down and got the job done. So by the time security came to escort him out of the building, his desk was already clear. Didn't even have personal effects on it. He walked out with honor, with his head held high, because he completed the mission to his country. And Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, like me, is a father to a daughter. So there's a quote from his memoir that really resonated with me. He said, or wrote, "I've always known that I have to be able to look my daughter in the eye." And in so many ways, that's motivated me and so many fathers and mothers and aunts and uncles and so many other Americans who look at your inspiration, look at your example, look at your quiet strength and courage as something to be modeled for generations to come. And so I have to say that truly, Alexander Vindman is a testament to the fact that courage is not always seen in the spotlight. Courage is found in those quiet moments of putting your head down, telling the truth even when no one else is in the room. Courage is found in doing the work, even when it's hard. Hillsborough County Democrats, are we ready to do the work? These pundits say that Florida and Hillsborough County are ruby red, and there is no hope for shifting that needle. Are we ready to write a new story for what is to come in this state and in this county? Hillsborough County Democrats, stand up, let's get loud, and let's welcome the next U.S. Senator from the state of Florida, Alexander Vindman.
Well, I'm pumped up. How about you? Yeah. This is Tampa's a beautiful place. I've been here a bunch of times, as you can imagine, with CENTCOM and SOCOM headquarters. So I'm going to ask this question and know that what the answer is. Raise your hand if you're a veteran, if you've served. A lot of veterans. As a fellow veteran, thank you. I salute you for your service. Now let me ask you, raise your hand if you're paying more for insurance than you were a few years ago. Raise your hand if you're paying more for health care than you were a few years ago. Raise your hand if you're paying more for gas than you were a few weeks ago. Now raise your hand if you're tired of the career politicians telling you that everything's fine while you're paying more. I think it's time we elect an independent veteran, independent-minded politician that will deliver for people and kick those career politicians to the curb. What say you? Woo! To me, this right here, replicated across the entire state, this is why we win. We're going to win because people are motivated across the political spectrum, Democrats, Republicans, Independents. And in this election, you have a real choice. You have a career politician, career corrupt politician, Ashley Moody, who's in the pockets of special interests. She's been taking those corporate PAC dollars. She's been engaged in insider trading. Or you've got me, a career Army veteran, somebody that served this country for 21 years, served both parties, delivered for this country. It's great to be here with the North Tampa Dems and the Hillsborough County Dems. Be back in Tampa. It's a wonderful place to be. Let me tell you a little bit more about myself, although I think the doc covered a lot of it. My family came here when I was 3 years old. Dad brought us here. My mom unfortunately passed away when we were 3, so we didn't really know her. Dad brought myself, my older brother, and my twin brother, who's a member in Congress. He's actually my baby brother. He's 9 minutes younger. Lifetime of wisdom in those 9 minutes. So he brought us here. We settled in New York. Dad dragged along his mother-in-law. He didn't really get along with her. Had $750 in his pockets. We landed in New York. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, Dad and us 3 boys sharing a 1-bedroom. And Dad worked really, really hard for us. He worked really hard to give us access to the American dream. His first job was hauling furniture at a secondhand furniture store. I think that entry point into the American dream, watching our dad and the hope he had in this country, inspired all of us to serve in uniform. My older brother initially in the reserves. We got another stepbrother out of my dad's new marriage. That stepmom raised us. That stepbrother was the one black sheep that decided to serve in the Marines. Yeah. But all of us made a career. My career, infantryman, airborne ranger, a combat veteran, Purple Heart recipient. My wife is back there. Rachel, raise your hand. Many of you know her. She's sitting next to a couple of our friends from Virginia from way back when we were up there. Rachel got that awful call back in 2004. That one call that all loved ones dread when they have family that's deployed in combat. I was wounded by an improvised explosive device outside of Fallujah. It exploded into my vehicle, and in that moment, everything went dark and the vehicle filled with smoke. Turned out that I got hit and I took shrapnel to leg and shoulder, but I was the lucky one. The 2 Marines that were sitting next to me were seriously wounded and evac'd out of theater. They had to go home to recover. I learned a lot that day. I earned a Purple Heart, but what I learned was more about sacrifice and service. And it's more than dollars and cents that are expended when we send troops overseas. That's why when Ashley Moody votes yes for a poorly considered war, a dangerous war, a war of choice, with no way out, I know what it costs, and I'm a hell no for these wars overseas. I mentioned I'm a 21-year veteran. Many of you would only have come to know me in 2019 when I was serving in the White House on the National Security Council. There, I witnessed firsthand, inside the Situation Room, the president engage in a corrupt abuse of power to try to steal an election. I did what I swore an oath to do. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I reported that corruption. The consequence of that was the end of my career. They came after me with everything they got, forced me out of the military, and we ended up finding our way to Florida, a beautiful place to settle. I was raised in New York, so where else would we retire besides Florida? We're here for the same reasons many of you are here. It's a wonderful, look at this. It's a wonderful place to be, good people. The promise was affordability, but unfortunately, that promise is proving to be false under this administration, under this regime. That promise is slipping out of reach. It's slipping out of reach because we have career corrupt politicians like Ashley Moody, who's, as AG, was happy to give a pass to the big insurance companies while their insurance rates skyrocketed. We're paying 4 times more for insurance than we were a mere 5 years ago because she gave a pass to big insurance while she was taking their corporate PAC money. Every day that she's serving in Senate, she's costing us money. She's no better in the Senate. She engaged in stock trading on insider information only Congress gets. That should be illegal. She's happy to take big pharma money, both into her campaign, but also to engage in stock trades while she's sitting on the health committee. Totally unacceptable. That has a name. It's called corruption. This is unacceptable, the trend lines here. The way things are going, all the burdens are shifting from the billionaires, they're getting their tax breaks, to the ordinary folks that are paying more for everything. That's not what this country is about. So for me, there was no option to sit on the sidelines. I moved here with my family. After 21 years of the Army telling me where to go, I wanted to make sure that this is a place, that it's a beacon for my child. So when she finishes school in 3 years, she's a 9th grader, that she's proud of Florida, that she has access to rights, that she has access to opportunities, that she has good jobs, affordable lifestyle in order to come back here. That's the worst fear for me, is that she chooses not to live in Florida. She's our only child. So I'm going to fight like hell to make sure that we build that Florida that we want to make sure that delivers for the next generation. This is completely different than what people expect it's going to be. Florida is not deep red. I'm going from deep blue to ruby red districts. And what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is everybody's concerned about the same thing. Skyrocketing costs and corruption. They want a fighter in that corner. We're going to win because people know that things are heading in the wrong direction. They want somebody to be an independent voice for them in the Senate. They want somebody that's going to stand up to fight for their services, Social Security, Medicaid, lowering healthcare costs, lowering costs for insurance, homeowners insurance. I'm Alex Vindman, and I want to be your independent voice in the U.S. Senate. So I'm asking you to vote for me, to bring 2 people along with you to vote for me, to look around your neighborhoods, look at the folks that took down their Trump signs. That's a plea for help. Go to those folks. Ask them if they want an Alex Vindman for Senate sign. I'm asking you to vote for me, to vote this whole ticket of awesome candidates, and let's go win this thing.
Wow, give them another round of applause. My gosh, I'm excited. Woo! Way to go. Okay, so all of you, when you came in, we collected some wonderful questions, and I'm going to be reading the questions to our guest of honor and let him answer, okay? Here we go. As senator, how do you plan to combat not only rising costs, but the political polarization we are currently experiencing in America?
So I think my 2 deliverables for a Senate, this is a special election. I got 2 years to prove myself before I run for re-election and get I need to make sure I prove myself. There's 2 things I need to do. I need to deliver accountability and guardrails, make sure our system works the way it's supposed to be, fight corruption. We have our founding fathers engineered a system of checks and balances between the different branches of government. If one branch of government exceeds its authorities, the other branch checks it. To me, it's clear that we have a executive branch that it's exceeding its authorities, whether it's with regards to ICE, pushing them into our cities to abuse our population, whether it's tariffs, whether it's these wars of choice. So accountability and guardrails. Ashley Moody is not doing that. She was selected for the simple fact that she's an automatic yes vote to the chaos and to the corruption. She's there to deliver for corporate interests. She's there to deliver for the folks that put money in her accounts. She's there to deliver for the folks that put her in that position. So accountability is task number one. Task number two has to be delivering something on affordability. It has to be. If we don't do something for the voters that put us in, there are plenty of voters that are not sitting in rooms like this, Democrat rooms, folks that are completely aligned. For them, it's a simple fact. They want to make sure that somebody's there delivering on costs, that somebody's making their lives a little bit easier, that somebody's making sure that the system's fair, not skewed for the ultra elites and the politically connected, but for ordinary people. So to me, the task is going to be accountability and then something on costs. What I think I'm going to focus on costs is our insurance markets here are broken. The homeowners insurance is the most expensive in the country. My simple premise is we are the fourth largest economy in the country. Our tax dollars, our federal tax dollars they get spread around the 50 states. They get spread around to make life easier for the other 50 states. Why can't we spread the risk? Why can't we make sure that we have a functioning insurance market where the big players are in here competing against each other to lower costs? That would be a fundamental fix. That's not just for home ownership. That would also affect the folks that are renting. On average, in the state of Florida, 37% of monthly income goes to rent. That's a striking number, and in parts of the state, it's even worse. So we have to do something on cost. We also have to make battle to make sure that we revert or kind of undo the damage to the Affordable Care Act subsidies, to Medicaid. These are all things that we need to do. Some of these are going to be in partnership with the administration. We have to find areas of partnership, and some of these are going to be in tension. My job is to deliver. That's the only thing I think voters care about, is finding somebody that delivers for them.
Awesome. Okay, what is your plan to get the SAVE Act removed?
Yeah. So the SAVE Act hasn't passed federally. We obviously have that issue here in the state. It is the basest effort to disenfranchise voting classes. Everybody from women, including women that changed their names when they married, folks that have come from different corners of the world where they might not have the documentation that meets the thresholds. Names, hyphenated names are challenged. These are the things that, of course, the powers that be want to make sure that they reduce oppositional voters. They want to make sure that they take votes away from folks. And that's not passing federally. But of course, I need partners here in the state of Florida. And that's why we're going to deliver wins. It's important to win the Senate seat and get checks and balances into the federal system. But it's equally important to start delivering for people in Florida. So we need to make sure that State House, State Senate, citywide offices, all these offices are in position to be able to deliver and reverse course on Florida's version of the SAVE Act. Every legal vote should count. That's the bottom line, and we should make it as easy as possible for every legal vote to count.
Okay, as an independent voter, what message do you have for independents who are opposed to Trump's fascism?
Yeah. So I think there are certain themes that are cross-cutting. I'm halfway through my statewide anti-corruption, crush corruption, cut cost tour. We started in Miami, worked our way up to Tallahassee. We filed. We were, what's the word I'm looking for? Rachel, what's the word I'm looking for? We filed, and what we were qualified. There we go. Thanks. Phoning a friend. We qualified. And then we went back down south to Miami and are working our way back up through Orlando to Tampa. So it's clear to me, after doing lots of travel throughout the state, that there are certain things that are consistent. People want a fighter in their corner. They want somebody that's independent-minded, not an independent. I'm running as a Democrat, but independent-minded and is not beholden to corporate interests, special interests, billionaire class. That's clear to me. I think that folks are really, really concerned. They won't. I don't think independents actually use the term fascism. Independents or swing voters are frankly much more concerned about kitchen table issues, like the fact that costs are skyrocketing, like the fact that fuel over the course of a couple months has gone up by more than $1 because there's an absurd war of choice in the Middle East. Those are the things that they're really thinking about. So what I'm fighting for is a fair system that makes sure that we, everybody, the billionaires don't evade their tax burdens, that they pay their fair share, that we make sure that we keep our promises to our people about Social Security, that we figure out something about costs. And I mentioned that task number one for me is guardrails, making sure our system works.
Okay. What vital message can we tell to our military service community to let them know Democrats honor and support them?
Yeah. So let me be clear. Democrats are the party of national security and defense. I want to say that again. Democrats are the party of national security and defense. This nonsense about the Republicans taking ownership of this issue makes no sense. They're the party of wars of choice. They're the party of and foreign adventures. More importantly, I want to just be clear about this. We are in a military town to a certain extent. It's a big city. There's lots of different things going on here. I don't miss that. But we are a military town. We have 2 combatant commands here. What we need to fundamentally do is that we don't squander our greatest treasure, which are our troops, our sons and daughters, mothers, fathers, on silly wars with no strategy, with no plan. And the fundamental thing, the fundamental thing that my responsibility as a senator is pretty straightforward. My responsibility is to ask tough questions regardless of the party. It doesn't make a difference who's sitting in the White House. This time, it's a Republican. Next time, it's going to be a Democrat. It doesn't make a difference. It's asking tough questions to make sure that we, and I have the experience to do that. I've served in combat. I've served in national security roles. Make sure that we are thoughtful about how we use force. We are judicious, that we keep faith with our allies, that we keep our enemies at bay, that we do the right thing by our troops to keep this country safe. That's what my opponent, Ashley Moody, has no capability of doing. She's put on the Senate Armed Services Committee to burnish her credentials. That's not like one of those jobs you do like with training wheels. She's not an intern. She should have the expertise to deliver. She can. So we need to make sure that there's somebody sitting up there that's asking the tough questions to deliver for the people of Florida.
Okay, to tag on to that question, what 3 committees do you feel best serving?
So there are committees that I think, So there are committees I think my career is well suited for. I think Senate Armed Services for oversight of the Department of Defense and the whole defense sector. I think Senate Foreign Relations. I served as a diplomat for swaths of my career. Intelligence, all these things. But I think actually one of the committees that I sit on has to be something relevant to Florida. So we've got a robust transportation sector. It might be about transportation and ports. It could be about agriculture. We still have a powerful agriculture sector. Technology, we want to make sure that we invite, it's great that the billionaires are coming here buying their $100 million homes. Excuse me. That's all well and good. We'll take those tax dollars, property tax dollars. But I'd rather entice those companies to come here and put their headquarters here so that your daughter, my daughter, can find good paying jobs in 21st century sectors here. We need to sustain leisure and travel. Those are important sectors. So I'm going to be looking for ways to deliver for the people of Florida concretely. That's a committee that I'm looking for.
A few more questions. This is a question that I'm gonna tag on to it. Here in What is your strategy to reach Latino voters? Here in Hillsborough County, 30% of our population is Latino.
Yeah. So I think that I feel like I have a natural connection to Latino community, to the Hispanic community. My family came here as refugees from the Soviet Union, fleeing communism. Working class roots. I mentioned my dad at the age of 47 hauling furniture, sharing a one-bedroom apartment. Those are my roots. I think the other aspect that's pretty crystal clear to me is that we are in an environment where the Hispanic community is under siege, where the Black community, where communities of color, where LGBT communities under siege, because the party that pledges, or these folks that pledge protection of individual liberties, are happy to go ahead and attack people's individual liberties if they're in a different camp. So I'm going to fight for people's individual liberties. The other thing is, it's pretty, again, to put a finer point on it, these communities are under siege. They're looking for an ally. I am that fighter in their corner. I'm going to deliver. I'm going to make sure that there's accountability over ICE. Long term, I want to also deliver some smart policies around immigration. We've led our immigration policies language. But the overriding factor amongst all different segments here, Latino, Black community, South State, Center State, North State, every across the political spectrum, our people are tired of a corrupt system, unfair system, a fixed system for the billionaire class, hand in glove with the politicians to deliver for them and putting the burdens on ordinary people. And they're tired of surging costs. We can't address surging costs unless we deal with the corruption. So that's what I'm going around to talking to people about, that I'm the fighter in their corner to deliver on these issues. That's what I've done throughout my career. That's what I intend to do going forward.
Okay, this is the last question, so I'm going to ask, and speaking of corruption, what do you think you can do to stop Governor DeSantis on his intention to redistribute the electoral map here in the state of Florida?
Yeah, I think that this is something that's going to play out over the course of weeks. Simply put, this goes against my one premise. Each person that has a legal ability to vote should get their vote. That's what these guys are attacking. They're attacking that fundamental premise. One person, one vote. They're making it harder. They're trying to make sure that our communities don't show up. I think they're going to try to do this with redistricting, and they're going to do it in their smoke-filled rooms, or frankly, it's probably just the governor by himself sitting in a room, like eyeing some maps or something, whatever the case might be, to try to go ahead and rig up the state. It doesn't make it frankly, it almost doesn't make a difference what he does at this point, because Democrats, Independents, and Republicans are going to show up in November, and they're going to deliver for this state and for this country. So it doesn't make it a difference what he does. People power is going to show up, and we're going to show him who's boss.
Thank you. I'm going to pass the mic to Venessa. Okay.
Thank you all very much. So I'm going to close it out, and I want to thank all of our speakers for being here and sharing their vision. And I want to key in on one thing. Karen Perez is running for school board. She's running countywide, right? And the school board race is normally won in the primary. So I want to be clear about that. I want to thank Neil for his eloquent speech and for hyping the crowd up. And for Aileen for the questions. And you, sir, for coming to Hillsborough and sharing with the Democrats here in Hillsborough County. So before I go, I want to say a couple of different things, because they say don't get off the mic without making an ass. So I got two of them tonight. So do you all recall me saying that we have to find ways to be in community 365 days a year, not just 100 days before the election? In order to accomplish this goal, we have to invest in people that are knocking doors and making phone calls, and to make sure that the community understands the power of their vote, the importance of their votes, and which candidates are really going to represent their values. When we vote, we don't just choose a candidate, we choose the future for our families. But vision without resources is just a dream. To get this work done, we need a strong funded HCDEC. So you'll see some QR codes on the tables. You'll see some donation envelopes on the tables. Please feel free to give. Dig a little deeper. You're funding the organizers who knock on the doors. You're printing the voter guides that get mailed to every voter, every Democrat in this county to let them know that an election is going on and who the Democrats are that's running on those seats. Those are the guides that we give out at the polls when the people walk up. They're like, hey, I was looking for one of those voter guides because I didn't know who to vote for, right? So you're paying for those. We're building an infrastructure that can withstand the storms of Tallahassee and DC. The work is hard, but the stakes are higher. Let's invest in our community. Let's protect the vote. The second ask. Let's do some phone banking and some door knocking in Plant City. We have a chance to flip the Plant City Commission blue. We have a Democrat in each race in Plant City. So let's flip that commission blue on 5/26. And let's win for Hillsborough. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of your evening. I believe he's going to take some photos and probably talk to the press. Again, it's been a lovely evening. Thank you for coming out and supporting us, and we look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail.